Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to another StarCraft 2 video. Now what I got for you today is my very first cast of the Amateur series. I announced this tournament just a couple of weeks ago and a lot of you reached out on Twitter and on Facebook mentioning that indeed you are gonna try your hand and see if you can potentially obtain the victory in a tournament that is meant for amateurs but directly backed by Blizzard. Anyways, so the StarLadder staff, essentially the tournament organizer, they reached out, they selected the best games for me and Winter to go ahead and cast, and this is going to be the very first one. And now already we've got something cheeky right here from our player, spawning with the purple drones in the top left-hand corner of Catalyst. He's indeed in Gold League and he goes by the name of Spider. And his opponent spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, and I guess he also has something very, very aggressive planned. He's in Silver League and he goes by the nickname of Ultralisks? Ultralisks, something like that. I think I'm just gonna go with Estra, okay? Estra, is that okay? Because I'm totally gonna butcher that name 100 times if I'm gonna have to keep on mentioning it. Regardless though, I assumed that we would have something aggressive here on our hands, and while Spider did indeed go for a very, very quick spawning pool there, he now also followed it up with a hatchery and no gas whatsoever. So that likely means that he plans on making quite a lot of Zerglings, but he plans on also transitioning towards a more macro-focused build in a little bit. Usually when we see players opening up with a 12 spawning pool, it's very common to go with the gas geyser as well, just to get that Zergling speed out really early on. But I think in this particular game, considering Estra went for that drone scout, it's actually quite good here for Spider, because he would have been able to put all of his eggs in one basket, and there's a good chance that Estra would have been able to hold it quite easily by going for that really quick spawning pool as well. Hatchery now taken here for our player in green as well. A couple of Zerglings though immediately running to their death. This is one of the key characteristics of players in Silver and in Gold League and in Bronze League as well. You see a lot of players just simply sacrificing a lot of Zerglings to the Blood God. And speaking of sacrificing Zerglings, it turns out Spider really is not attached to the Zerglings that he made in the early game. And even though he was definitely capable of dealing some damage there, Estra will be able to defend that one without a problem whatsoever. So historically, Zerg versus Zerg, right? It's always a matchup that very much so relies on scouting your opponent's mineral line with overlords behind. No, that's not the thing. It's historically always a matchup where you very much so rely on the amount of workers that you can get away with. The more drones you can produce without dying, the easier the eventual victory will become. Now, the thing about Zerg versus Zerg, of course, is that with one little bit of miss micro, it's very easy to lose. In particular, at the lower end of the ladder, it's very easy for a Baneling to deal critical amounts of damage. And that's exactly what we see right now out of Estra. Spider, though, so far, not really going for any tech whatsoever. He doesn't have link speed either, so I think he may be planning something a little bit more tech-heavy, but it's very, very common in Zerg vs. Zerg for players to just randomly lose. And you even see this at the pro level, where they just simply miss micro for like a split second. A Baneling takes a massive amount of heats, or a couple of roaches end up overwhelming the opposing roaches, and all of a sudden the game ends. This is always historically a matchup where games can definitely go south very, very easily. But obviously, I'm assuming that we get something a little bit out of the ordinary, right? Regardless of the early game, just because of the fact that, you know, the StarLadder stuff ended up selecting this game, and while it's very common for games to end early, I've got a feeling that this one may very well go the distance. Neither player though really loving Zergling speed. I would actually say that Zergling speed is the most important upgrade in this matchup. Zergling speed and +1 missile, that's where it's at, man. Mobility is absolutely key. While we do see a lot of links now, once again, coming out of Spider, he did already go for the Roach Warren as well. Both players, though, now mostly just sitting back. Estra is going to send that one Zergling forward, trying to figure out what it is that his opponent is going for, and he will figure out that there are indeed a lot of Zerglings waiting here as well, but both players being relatively brave, droning up quite heavily, and they are going to be able to secure their first 30 Harvesters. Spider now already looking to go up to that third hatchery, which indeed he will be taking here. So it's actually looking relatively standard right now. Since neither player really committed to a lot of aggression, yeah, look at that. Estra is also gonna go ahead and pick up that third hatchery here in just a little bit. Now, I am still ready for the many Zerglings that will likely find their grave over here, okay? I've casted probably, I don't know, literally dozens of Bronze League Zerg versus Zergs, and the amount of Zerglings that I've just simply seen run to their deaths, for example, without Zergling speed into a single Baneling. Oh my god, don't do it, Spider. Spider, Spider! Oh, this is... That's exactly what I was talking about. I literally thought that we were gonna see both players just simply sitting back, but nope. Not the case. That is literally the pinnacle of low-level Zerg versus Zerg. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. Well, Estra probably wasn't even noticing that engagement went down until it already ended. He did make a couple of Zerglings right now. He's just simply gonna morph in a couple of Banelings because they definitely got their money's worth, right? Look at that. 750 minerals lost there for our player in purple. I'm assuming actually Banelings don't show up when they blow up like that. Regardless though, a couple of Lings will be able to now make their way into that main base. They will indeed scout that we have a Roach Warren here for Estra, and that also he already made his way up towards a lair tech. We see something very, very similar here actually for Spider, although he does lack that lair. He is currently still getting scouted here by Estra, who has that Overlord in the back of the mineral line. What Estra, you know, doesn't really realize, though, is that his opponent just made a massive sacrifice, right? He made a sacrifice to the Blood God, and I feel like that's gonna, you know, pay off in the long run, right? If you sacrifice Zerglings early, you may very well be favored in the later stages of the game, and I think that's what Spider's, you know, strategy was. This is something that was very common in human history, where people just simply sacrificed all kinds of stuff for no apparent reason, believing that in the long run it would actually give them, you know, all kinds of benefits. And I think that's what Spider believes in as well. It's just sort of a religion that he follows. Okay, this is the religion of the Zerglings dying for no apparent, you know, and obvious reason. But it's okay. It's okay. So far, relatively passive game though. Estra already going up to that infestation pit. Spider though, even though he did lose a lot of links, he has actually not really had any kind of counter pressure whatsoever. Still now going for that Roach Baneling style here as well, and he is going to be able to now, well, I guess deflect these Zerglings for the time being, but they will have just scouted that there is indeed a very similar army composition here as well for the opponent. Now Estra going for the melee upgrade, quite interesting. And now transitioning towards Swarm Hosts. So Swarm Hosts, of course, they're, you know, they're a curious unit. Let's just say it like that. On paper, there are about 1,000 counters that Zerg has to Swarm Host. However, the Locust Waves can really start becoming a nuisance if they manage to get their value. I actually have seen Swarm Hosts become really quite strong. For example, against Lurkers. It's kind of awkward, but Lurkers are not very good at just simply repositioning themselves. If you get yourself like a dozen or so Swarm Hosts and you just simply, you know, send a couple of Locusts up into the main base, they are almost guaranteed, if there are no defensive units in place, to get the kill on the hatchery. They can deal a ridiculous amount of damage. So I'm curious to see what Estra has got in store for us. Lings and Banes now finally making their way across. Estra did already put a couple of Banelings into that mineral line as well, so he should be able to at the very least deflect a lot of this army. Keep in mind though, there's really not a lot here available for our player in green. Once again, a lot of Zerglings are being sacrificed. The Swarmos are now, oh my god, the Swarmos are indeed now deflecting all of that as well. And even though that one Baneling made its way towards the mineral line, 0 workers went down. It takes a second one, of course, to clean all of that up. Spider though using this time here to macro up towards a 4th hatchery as well. Quite surprised he didn't just send the roaches across. I think if he would have sent the roaches across, there probably wouldn't have been much that he could really do. Estra, that is. I don't really see exactly what he could have done against the roaches, but obviously moving those across the map, there's actually a traitor amongst them. It's a Trojan horse right there. Look at it. It's pretending to be purple. It's been pretending to be purple, and I guess it is showing up as so. But so far, Spider definitely didn't want to leave his main base all the way, you know, and wide open. So Estra is gonna now have to deal with a massive amount of links, though. Here's the thing: at this point, he's really only got Zerglings and Banelings and a handful of Swarm Hosts. He has a lot of minerals in the bank as well, following it up with a lot more Swarm Hosts. So that brings the total up to 17. 17 swarm hosts. This is actually interesting. You do see this pop up every once in a while in the pro level as well, and I'm actually curious whether or not it's going to be like a staple of the meta at some point, because it is definitely very, very potent. But here we go. Spider, now with that fourth base up and running, he is going to start making a move towards this third hatchery of Estra, and it's already taking a humongous amount of damage. Keep in mind, this is a tournament match, so Estra really does not want to lose it. He immediately does lose that third base, and while the roaches now are committing as well towards killing another one of the Vespian geysers, they will be able to get on out of there with that massive locust wave now revealing itself as well. I think that Spider actually only saw like the first couple here. So, I guess for the time being, he doesn't really realize how many roaches there are. But in a straight-up engagement, there's no doubt in my mind that these roaches would have actually died to the swarm host. Alright, so where are we at right now? Spider is sitting on 4 hatcheries. He's got himself a spire as well. So he's not going to go for that Muta switch, which is very, very conventional in the current meta of SC2. He's now getting additional gases. He just knocked his opponent back to the Stone Age as far as economy goes. And that does mean that Estra will have to pull a rabbit out of a hat to achieve anything. Now, Estra did go up towards the Hive. So he's actually not in a terrible spot. He's now going for the Ultra Cavern as well as the double Spire. But I'm a little bit worried for this man. He's got very little that actually shoots up. Estra will now also scout out that there is indeed a massive army at his front door. And it does contain Ultralisk, which he doesn't have much of a counter for. Spider, though, looking for the final blow. I think that's his plan right now. He's looking to once again sacrifice some more of that army. There we go. They are going to be able to bile down some of those Banelings as well, and the Banelings will just simply, you know, pop like it's nothing. One of the Ravagers there does end up dying, but I guess for now, right, Spider is just simply forced to once again push forward. And while I don't think he really wants to engage these Locusts, man, they can do a lot of damage. This is actually kind of awkward. Look at the amount of damage Locusts deal. Guys, look at the amount of damage that these Locusts deal. Was that actually all of them? They are going to be on cooldown for a little while, obviously, but that actually was a pretty significant trade. Spider did end up killing the third base once again. Hydras are now out to deal with these Mutas, which I like a lot. We do see, of course, the Adrenal Glands upgrade now coming out as well. So, Estra is going to be able to get a lot of additional damage out of his Zerglings. But there's no denying, right, that at this point, neither player really has a really strong economy. But Estra definitely is behind in that aspect. Once again, though, the Locust Wave is moving forward. And look at this. These Locusts, if they decide to engage... Oh my god, the Roaches. You cannot do that, Roaches. The Locusts are absolutely shredding through it. And while Estra... Oh my god. No, they are actually dying as well. Oh my god. So many sacrifice units. Estra, while he did end up losing his base, he also ended up killing his opponent's army entirely. So I actually wouldn't mind it right now if Estra decides to go across the map. Are there still any Mutas available? There are still 6 of them up in the air. These Mutas should go down with relative ease as long as the Hydras manage to get a reasonable engagement. Baneling speed is now coming up as well for Spider, which I like a lot. If you manage to kill those Hydras, the Mutas will be able to clean up everything else. And obviously, Banelings are phenomenal at cleaning up Hydralisk. But still, he doesn't have a lot of economy, right? He's sitting on 54 Harvesters, which is actually pretty decent. Swarm Host now going for, I guess, a bit of a... Yeah, I guess they're going for a bit of a move out on the map. Does he have Burrow, actually? He could just burrow them on the ground. He's got a ton of upgrades. He did get Burrow. Look at that. He's got practically every upgrade in the book right now for Zerg. If he rains the Locust there, there's no doubt in my mind that that base dies. Right? The Mutas and the Banelings and the Roaches will have to commit to it. Well, I don't think you want to show yourself. There we go. Really nicely done. All he needs to do is just right-click the hatchery. Okay, he's not doing that exactly, but still... The Banelings will have to connect to it. There we go. Hatchery is being target fired down. Oh my god. Look at that. Oh, look at that hit squad. The Baneling, or rather the Swarm Host hit squad managed to kill one of those bases almost immediately. And this is where I love watching these kind of games. Here's the thing. This might not be viable at the highest level of StarCraft, but it is perfectly viable at this level of play, okay? Normally at the highest level of StarCraft, you will see Overlords just simply checking all of those locations. So the Banelings and the Roaches get in, they can't get in position to actually deflect this kind of shenanigans. At this point though, Spider, while he does still have a decent economy, he doesn't know about the third base. Oh, he actually did see that. Wow. Okay, nicely done there by him. Guess there may have been an overlord or something spotting that, but he does know that he doesn't have a massive economy. The swarm host now simply sitting there underground, impossible to be spotted. A locust wave already being activated, which I like a lot. That's gonna actually get rid of a lot of those banelings. Beautifully done there, actually, by Estra. But how exactly is he going to deal with this massive amount of army? Here we go. Spider is smelling butt. The banelings connecting immediately on all of those Ultralisks as well. The hatchery there goes down. Estra does not have anything to really deal with these roaches right now. He does have the Corruptors up in the air. Swarmhost, once again, trying to get some of that value. But there's no denying that right now Spider is about to kill the main base of his opponent. There are 2 Spires ready to go. 1 Ultra, though, also being sacrificed right now. It does get one little nibble off, I suppose, before going down. That's still a lot of roaches, though. They are taking a lot of damage right now as well. The Ultra's actually coming in from the back. Even the boys pulled off the line to try and clean all of this up. And actually, with that hive going down and with the amount of locusts coming out of that hatchery, I do think, look at that. The Ultras just made their way in time, and they are indeed enough to just barely kill all of that roach wave. At the same time now, the Swarmos are looking to get that connection that they were dreaming of. They are going to be able to deploy their Locust once again. Actually, the Locust now messing up a lot of that AI, killing so many of those roaches as well. And while I guess the Swarmos... Okay, well, I was going to say, they are going to be forced to burrow on the ground now with one of those Overseers above. Oh my god. Spider being a merciful god, actually. I assumed that all of these Swarmos would go down. But apparently that's not the case. The Swarmos will live to fight another day. This is a little awkward right now, right? Spider did once again secure that, I guess, third base that he produced so very early on into the game. He also now is mining heavily from that fourth hatchery now that his main base is completely run out of resources. Estra is now securing his fourth hatchery as well, reproducing a lair, because obviously he lost the hive over in his main base. He does still have a scary amount of units, and while his army composition is very unorthodox, right? Going for Ultralisk, Corruptor, Swarmhost, it seems to be able to keep his opponent at bay for now. Obviously, the longer that this goes on, though, right, I really do feel like these Swarmhosts are going to be able to provide more and more value. Let's have a look at the units lost. While Spider has been mining a lot more, he has also lost a substantial amount more than his opponent. Right? Even though he does still have a lot more income, these swarm hosts are providing a lot of value. And I think that I've casted quite a lot of games recently with the swarm hosts, right? I think that swarm hosts may very well just become so common in the meta of StarCraft because players are really starting to figure out what kind of value they can provide. If there's one thing they're good at, it's trading above equity, right? They get a lot of value out of their locust waves, and if you manage to deploy waves a couple of times, you just simply kill a couple of units every time you do so. While they aren't great in straight up engagements, they really are gonna be able to oh my god. Well, I don't think you want to target fire down that hatch, but rather that gas. But I think you can just target fire down the hatchery with ease. Not if the locusts are just simply chilling though for a little while. No, that's sadly a bit of a failed attempt there. But still, a handful of drones do end up finding their death over here on this side of the map. Couple of changelings now pretending to be those Zerglings once again. They are going to be able to figure out that there's very little over in this, I guess, in-between area. I wouldn't mind it at all if Estra decided to creep this place up, because I do think it has a lot of potential. But once again, right, Spider going for that much more conventional Zerg style. He's going to move forward. He's trying his very best to deflect this force here for the time being. But now that he's spotted that the Ultras are coming close, and he knows that the Locusts have their wave ready to go, or rather the Swarmers have their Locust wave ready to go, I think he needs to be careful. These Ultras can deal a phenomenal amount of damage, and while he could try and, I guess, force the Swarm host to deploy their Locust and then back up and then come back around once again, he cannot really take a head-on engagement against this many units. Well, here we go. The Banelings are making their way towards that mineral line. They are looking to connect with all of those drones. A beautiful move there by Spider, and while the Locusts indeed now also are deployed, they were not ready to go in time. Roaches, though, apparently have a bit of a death wish. They are going to try and fight these units, even though they are on a very short timer. That means that actually, I think about 4 or 5 or so of these Roaches ended up dying. Ultras now actually coming around as well. Roaches desperately trying to target fire down the hatchery, but the Ultras are doing a good job body blocking it. Eventually, the hatch there does go down, but the question is, was that enough to justify? while that was going on, though, Spider has done a great job securing his base. I actually really like the way that Spider is playing this. Even though he's throwing away a lot of units, the basics of Zerg are really obvious here, right? He's doing a great job just simply positioning his army well and producing a lot of stuff, spending his minerals. Here's the thing, though. Estra's army, man, while it isn't maybe, you know, as large as the opponent's, it is very, very well teched up. That is 5 Ultralisks, or I guess 4, no, it is 5 Ultralisks with 2-2 upgrades, as well as the melee upgrade, of course, and they have chitinous plating. They're gonna be able to plow through all these roaches in just a couple of seconds. This is one of those engagements that is just very uncommon in StarCraft. Roaches fighting Ultras is not something we see very often, but it turns out they are absolutely phenomenal. Locust Wave now being activated. They're gonna clean up what is left of this hatchery. The hatchery falls, and I think with that, a couple more drones as well. Ultras now returning home. Look at that, 14, 14, and 4 kills here respectively. A couple of them do end up dying, but there's no denying, right, that they got a lot of value, killing a lot of that roach bull. Now, Spider is making a switch. He's now going towards the mutas once again. Obviously, this is something that he probably planned to do, but there's still obviously those corruptors up in the air as well. Corruptors are absolutely phenomenal at killing these mutas. While Estra was knocked back in 2 base versus 4 base situations, I feel like he's actually got a shot at winning this one. Once again, resecuring a hive here. I think that's meant to maybe go up to a greater spire and maybe go up to like 3-3 upgrades, which I wouldn't mind whatsoever. But I really felt like Estra, though, while he was behind, right, he could have lost the game earlier when Spider had all of those roaches just simply sitting back at home. Curious to see how this one is going to play out. More and more Ultras are now coming up. That does once again bring the total up to 16, or to 6 rather. They are obviously still quite a little while away from spawning. They do take a very long time to birth. Spider, though, still getting his economy in check. I actually am really impressed by the way that these players are playing it. I've casted so many games where both players just simply get such a massive amount of resources. Estra is kind of falling into that trap right now, going up to 2,000 minerals already, but he has done a good job spending his resources overall, and right now he's got a bit of an issue since his main gases are running low. He cannot get enough gas to properly justify this, but look at that, right? Spider just simply securing himself the 4th base once again, also going for a 6th hatchery here in the center of the map. He's transitioning towards that infestation pit, which I actually really like as well. I think he might have to go up to Hive and maybe go up to Brood Lords or something along those lines. I think that's going to be the ultimate counter to a lot of the forces that Estra has. Then again, though, Ultras with this amount of upgrades, right, they're actually quite good at just simply killing a lot of his opponent's forces. This is one of those games where things get really awkward, right? Once again, this is meant as a tournament match for the amateur series, so neither player really wants to commit to a big fight and then lose it just because obviously you are out of the tournament if you end up losing the series. Nicely done here by both players, though, really trying to outmaneuver each other and trying to outsmart each other. Well, Spider has a couple of roaches, a couple of mutas, and a dream. He wants to win this game right here. I'm curious to see, though, if it's enough. I feel like these changelings, right, that Estra has been producing all this time, there's once again one underneath all of these mutas. They are providing and giving him all the intel that he needs. Look at that, right? Continuously right now, we've been seeing a lot of corruptors spawn. That's 16 corruptors with more joining in. That's more than enough right now for these mutas to go down. I think the ground battle is won by Estra, and so will the air battle be won if these units clash right now. I love this, though. Look at that switch, right? Estra, now with that hive finished, he's gonna once again be able to go up to a greater spire. Spider, by the way, once again trying to see if he can secure that big economy that he was dreaming of. But I wonder, right, how exactly is this gonna go? Once again, Estra is gonna maneuver these units around. More Ultras are coming up. Ultra Brood Lord is extremely difficult to beat. I think what Estra should do is try to clash with all of these mutas, take them out of the equation, and then transition to watch a lot of Brood Lords. I think he can actually just fly across the map right now. There's really no downside in doing so. He could go ahead and engage right now against all these mutas. Swarmos once again looking to employ their Locust. The Swarmos hit squad once again back in action. They're once again gonna go after that extractor there for a little bit, but look at that hatchery, man. Swarmos damage is ridiculous. They are absolutely cleaning up house. And even though Spider has a big force, it's a very quick force as well. He's trying to find out where these swarmos are. A couple of them apparently had a bit of a death wish there, but already the units in purple are once again making their way back home. All right, here we go. Estra is maxed out. He's got all of the units that he wants. He's got a big chunk of Ultras. He's got a solid amount of upgrades. I almost feel like he should start doing Zergling run-bys once again, man. Like 8 Zerglings over here will absolutely murder that mineral line. They've got their adrenal glands. They've got a lot of good upgrades. But obviously, when you're in the heat of the game, it's pretty difficult to try and execute something like that. He's got a very solid amount of larvae ready to go as well. So he can re-max here easily. But I think we are just about to see the clash of the game. I don't think Spider wants to take this engagement, man. Well, you cannot be on move command. You gotta attack move. Here we go. Swarmos deploying their locusts once again. The Ultras absolutely murdering those banelings. And then all of the roaches as well. The Corruptors up in the air making short work of all of those mutas. And right now, right, with the Ultras moving forward, while the mutas are chasing them down, I think that their numbers are just simply not big enough. Estra should be able to clean up the base right here in the center. And as soon as these mutas are taken out of the equation, right, I would love it if he decides to transition towards a whole lot of Brood Lords. I think the Brood Lords might very well be the nail in the coffin. The Ultras here trying to deal the damage. He's move commanding so much though. I don't know if I agree with the move command, but the other Ultras now finally giving him the surface that he needs. That one Ultra derping around for a little while, but they are making short work of all of those Lings. Ultras once again now accompanied by Corruptors, but also Brood Lords. The Brood Lords are coming up in just a couple of seconds. They are gonna be capable of basically cleaning up everything. That's 5 Brood Lords, and there's nothing here available for Spider except for that one queen that just ended up dying to shoot up. The Ultras now finally also finding some help from those Zerglings. Zerglings, of course, absolutely phenomenal here. They're gonna finally make their way towards the top right-hand corner. Once again, this Changelings providing the value that they were looking for. And even though Estra was a Silver League player going up to someone in gold, he ended up winning this series in a very, very nice match. I hope you enjoyed watching this game. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters for supporting this channel directly. And of course, to the StarLadder staff for selecting these replays and for putting out this tournament. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I hope to see you once again in the next one.